Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited because I get to talk through one of my biggest TBRs of the year. This is also one of my favorite TBRs to make every single year, even though, do I ever do that well on it? No, I don't. But I do love the process of putting together a yearly TBR, so today we are going to be talking about my TBR for 2026. Now, unfortunately for you, not for me, you will not be seeing a 26 books that I will be reading in 2026 video today, mainly because I don't have that much faith in myself, and I simply know that's not happening. Good luck to every poor soul out there who decided to do that. I had the utmost faith in you, but for me personally, I simply cannot put that many books on my yearly TBR. So today I have selected 15 books that I would like to read this year that feels like a manageable number. And out of those 15 books, I have 9 backlist titles. So they're either books that I have on my TBR that I would really like to prioritize, or they're books that I'm going to acquire one way or another. And then the other 6 are new releases, which I am so excited about. There's so many good books coming out next year that I cannot wait to dive into. I honestly want to start with the new releases, but I won't. I will wait until we go through the backlist titles first. But they all sound so good. I was looking up summaries of all of them before I sat down and started filming this video, and like every time I looked at a new one I was like, oh my god, I can't wait. So lots of good books coming out, but we will get there in a moment because first I want to talk about the backlist titles. First up, I want to talk about what I think is the most intimidating book that is on this TBR, sheerly for the size of it, and that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is my over 1,000-page book for the year. I've said this a couple of times recently, but I like reading a book that's over 1,000 pages every year as just an arbitrary goal that I set for myself. And seeing as there are no more Stormlight books to read, I had to branch out a little bit this year. So the Strange, why do I keep calling this The Strange Case? I've said this, like, I've tried to refilm this multiple times, and like every time I go to say it, I'm like, The Strange Case, but I'm like, The Strange Case of what? Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. That's the one that I'm gonna be reading. I believe this book is set in 19th century England, and I think it takes place during the Napoleonic Wars, and we are focusing on these two magicians, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, who are kind of the last of their kind because magic has really started to die out, and I think they kind of have a rivalry going. I don't think they like each other very much, but that's literally all I know about this book. So I'm very interested to see what I think of this one. It is just over 1,000 pages. It's like 1,006, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. So I'm excited to spend that much time with the book. I don't normally read books that are over 1,000 pages, but I tend to really like the ones that I read that are. So we're just gonna see, but I'm very excited to jump into this one. And I think I'm gonna try and tackle this one early in the year, so. Next up, I have a book that I got for Christmas in 2024, I think like right at the end of 2024, and I had the best laid plans to read it in 2025. Didn't do that, but I would really like to read The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez this year, and I do know for sure that I'm gonna read this because this is actually my January Patreon buddy read. I kind of hijacked the poll a little bit, and I just chose 4 books that were on my 2026 TBR, and this one ended up winning, which I'm so excited about because it just sounds excellent. I've heard really good things from the people that I've seen talk about it, so I cannot wait to actually read it. This is a standalone epic fantasy, and it says on the back that 2 warriors are shepherding an ancient god across a broken land to end the tyrannical reign of a royal family, which sounds really good. I've also heard that the way that this story is told is really interesting, and it's very unconventional, I would say. So I'm interested to see what that's like. I do really like a book with like a weird storytelling mechanism in it, so I cannot wait to read this one. Then next up, I do have a Greek myth retelling, which I have put on many a TBR throughout like the end of throughout like all of 2025, and that is Electra by Jennifer Saint. I read Ariadne last year and I did enjoy it. I had a pretty good time with it. I do really tend to like the Greek retellings that I read, so I've been wanting to read another one. I believe in this one we are following 3 women that are related to the House of Atreus, which is like this cursed house, cursed bloodline kind of vibe, and we are exploring what has happened to them basically due to the actions of all of the men around them, and I can't wait to get into this one. I really liked the writing in Ariadne, so I feel like I'll like this one as well, and I'd really like to try some other Greek myth retellings, so if you have any like good recommendations as far as that goes, please let me know. I know everybody's really tired of Greek myth retellings, but I'm not, so there we go. Then next up, I have a couple of classics that I'm very excited to read this year. I am really hoping to up the number of classics that I read in 2026 because I kind of did that in 2025. So the first one of those that I would really like to read is my last full-length Jane Austen novel, and that is Mansfield Park. I have been putting this one off. I did leave it until the end for a specific reason, and that is the fact that I feel like I don't hear people say great things about Mansfield Park. Like, obviously people like it. How could you not like a Jane Austen novel? But I think of the 6, typically, not saying every time, but like typically people will say this is their least favorite. So naturally that has made me a little bit wary going into it. I also don't exactly know what the story of this one is. I think literally the only thing I know about this book is that our main character's name is Fanny Price, and aside from that, I don't know. But I think it'll be interesting to go into a Jane Austen novel without any preconceived notions. I feel like for the rest of them, I've had a general idea of what they're about, what happens. I know most of the plot beats, but with this one, it's just a big question mark in my mind. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, but I'm very excited to try it out. Then next up, I have an author who I hear get compared to Jane Austen a lot, and I've been very intrigued by this book. Also, like, every time I've mentioned it, so many of you guys are like, oh my gosh, like, you need to read it. You also need to watch the BBC adaptation of it. Absolutely will be doing that, do not worry. And that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. This one intrigues me a lot based on the premise that's on the back of the book. I believe we're following a main character who is moving from this, you know, very upscale, lavish kind of area that she lived in to this small industrial town in the north of England, and she's starting to realize that it's very poverty-stricken. A lot of the people that are working in these industrial areas just aren't treated very well, and she kind of, you know, gets involved in some social justice. I also believe there is some romance in this somehow, and I'm interested to see how that is woven into this overall plot line. So I think this will just be a really interesting read, and I'm interested to see how Elizabeth Gaskell deals with these topics, especially considering this was written in like the Victorian period. So I can't wait to get into this one and just experience it. Then next up, I have a little bit more of a modern classic, but one that I'm still very excited about, and that is Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. I read Rebecca back in early November, I think, and I really, really enjoyed it. Obviously, so many people like Rebecca. I also really enjoyed Rebecca. So I was very interested in reading something else from Daphne du Maurier, so I thought Jamaica Inn sounded like a good pick as well. This one sounds like quite the ride, honestly. I believe we are following our main character whose mother just died, so she ends up moving in with her aunt who lives in Jamaica Inn. And once she gets there, she starts to notice some questionable happenings, I would say. Her aunt's husband is really abusive. There's apparently a gang of criminals at the inn, and there's also this guy who she may be falling for, who she dares not trust. So I think this one sounds like a dramatic story, but a story that I'm very enticed by. So hopefully I will be reading Jamaica Inn. And then next up, a book from an author who I've read many, many books from, but this is very much outside the realm of what he usually writes, and that is The Rhythmatist by Brandon Sanderson. I believe this one is considered young adult, maybe? And I think we're following our main character, Joel, who ends up going to this, like, magical academy, maybe, but he doesn't possess any magical abilities. But I think once he gets there, magical students are starting to be kidnapped and killed, and, you know, presumably Joel's safe because he's not magical, but I guess we'll find out. I feel like everybody loves The Rhythmatist. They always just say it's very fun. It's a good time. I think it can be read as a standalone, even though it also might potentially be the start of a series if he ever writes the second one. But I think it's like a self-contained story within this, so I'm excited to read something just a little bit different from Brandon Sanderson. Obviously, I love his Cosmere stuff, but I feel like this is also going to be a good time. Then next up, I have two other books which I don't currently have copies of, but they are very much books that I would like to focus on reading this year. The first one, I need to get a copy of this book. I would really like to get the new cover of this book because I think it's really cool, and that is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I have put this on a couple of TBRs throughout 2025, and it's just fallen through every single time. So I would really like to make sure that I read this book this year because I feel like this is the kind of sci-fi that I could really, really enjoy. And I believe Annihilation is about this group of scientists who end up going to this island, maybe, called Area X, and, you know, like, weird things are happening in Area X. And that is literally all I know about it. That's all I need to know about it. I'm pretty sure this is very short, so I can't wait to give this one a try. I feel like this will be a really good summer read. It kind of gives me summer vibes. I feel like maybe they go somewhere tropical. I could just be making that up completely, but would really like to read Annihilation. And then the last one, Cass is gonna be very happy that I'm putting this on my 2026 TBR because me and her made a deal last year that I did not follow through on, so to shame myself into actually doing it, I'm putting it on my 2026 TBR. So the last of my backlist titles that I'd really like to read is The Icebound Land by, what's his name? John Flanagan, I believe. This is the third book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, like the first Ranger's Apprentice series. This is Cass's favorite series of all time. She never shuts up about it. If you know Cass, you already know this. But me and her made a deal last year that for every Veronica Speedwell book she read, I would read the corresponding book number in the Ranger's Apprentice series, and I never did that. So I'm making sure I actually start on reading the rest of the Ranger's Apprentice series. I have read the first two a couple years ago, so I'm gonna ask her for a summary. Again, I'm pretty sure I've asked her for many summaries of the first two books, but I'm gonna ask her for a summary again, and then I'm gonna jump into the third one. This is kind of like a very action-adventure questy kind of series, I would say, which kind of sounds like it's right up my alley. And we're following these apprentice rangers. I don't know what else it's about. We'll find out, but like that's the last book that's on my backlist title. So now that we have gone through all of those, it is finally time we can talk about some new releases that are coming out this year. Guys, as I said, I'm so excited about these. So let me just jump into them. No preamble needed. The first one, which I'm obviously very excited about, is Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. This is a standalone from Heather Fawcett, who wrote the Emily Wilde series, which I absolutely love. I need to read Heather Fawcett's middle grade. I've heard it's pretty good. So at some point I would like to try those. But this is a new release that is coming out on the 17th of February. It is set in 1920s Montreal. Obviously we are, you know, set at a cat shelter. But apparently there's some magical threats going on. I don't know what these magical threats are, but the owner of the cat shelter apparently has to team up with this, you know, like mysterious, handsome magician to save the cats? I don't know. But it apparently is full of romance and adventure. I mean, like, does this not sound like a Katie book? If it doesn't, you don't know me. It sounds so good. I'm so excited about this one. I just feel like it's gonna be so fun, and I will be there on release day. Also, the US cover is so beautiful. I like the UK cover, but for once, the US cover really wins out in my mind, and I will be acquiring a copy on the 17th of February. I will be there. This has to be the one that I'm the most excited about. Honestly, I trust Heather Fawcett with my life at this point, so I feel like this is gonna be a big win. Next up, we have the third book in a series, which I really love, which is The Antiquarian's Object of Desire by India Holton. I believe this one comes out on April 9th. So honestly, it's feeling like it's too far away, but it's fine. I will wait for this because I love the first two books in the Love's Academic series. It is like a very silly, goofy, historical, romance, adventure-y kind of series, which again, right up my alley. And I believe in this one we're following two friends who are like pretending to be enemies to protect their academic reputations for some reason. What that reason is, I don't know. I'm sure it's gonna be something stupid, but stupid in the best possible way, don't get me wrong. And listen to the rest of this. Honestly, I don't even need to paraphrase because it just sounds so good. It says it leads to chaos and a forced trip to a haunted manor where they must confront their true feelings amid magical mayhem. I can't make this up, honestly. I'm pretty sure the comp titles for this are Jane Eyre and Howl's Moving Castle. Do I believe any comp titles ever? No. But I might get a little bit excited if you mention Howl's Moving Castle. So I'm just very intrigued by this book overall. I feel like it's gonna be a good time. I've loved the first two. I've given the first two 5 stars. Odds are I'll probably give this one 5 stars too. Next up I have yet another historical fantasy with romance book. Guys, I seriously do have a type. And there's so many books that are coming out next year that are like that. And I'm so excited. And that is The Geomagician. I actually don't know who this is by. Hang on. It is The Geomagician by Jennifer Mendula. And this one comes out on March 31st. This one also sounds excellent, actually. And I believe we're following a main character who is a geomagician, who is somebody that can perform magic on fossils. So like magical paleontologist. Thank you. And I think she ends up resurrecting like a baby pterodactyl, and that kind of gets her into some hot water with this all-male paleontology society nearby. And she has to team up with her ex-fiance to protect her findings as well as uncover some secrets about this nasty all-male paleontology society. So tell me that doesn't sound so good. I mean, like, there's just so many good new releases. Like, I'm so excited about all of these. I also do believe this is based on somebody who actually existed, whose name was Mary Anning, and she was a Victorian paleontologist, so that sounds super cool. And just like the natural history, historical, romance, adventure, dinosaurs. Need I say more? No. Next up I have another banger on the list, honestly, and that is A Ghastly Catastrophe by Deanna Raybourn. This is the 10th book in the Veronica Speedwell series, and it comes out on March 3rd. So soon. I cannot wait to be back with Veronica and Stoker. Oh, we all know my love for the Veronica Speedwell series, but the summary of this one, or the premise of this one, literally sounds right up my alley. Let me just read you the first line of the description of this book. It says, when the corpse of an entitled young man is found entirely drained of blood in a carriage next to Highgate Cemetery, Veronica's interest is piqued. I'm like, Katie's interest is piqued. Like, are you kidding me? Vampires? Vampiric things? Obviously, there aren't gonna be like actual vampires, but like anything that even alludes to that. I'm into it. I'm already excited. I also believe in this one we were teaming up with some characters from one of Deanna Raybourn's other series, the Lady Julia series. Now, I have not read that series. I'm not planning on reading that series before I read this one. That is like an eventually kind of plan, but like no time soon kind of plan. But I think it'll be interesting to be introduced to these characters who maybe I could also really like. there's potential for them. So I'm quite interested to see what I think of this crossover, but regardless, I'm sure it's gonna be a good time. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years since A Grave Robbery came out. I need this. I need this so bad. Also, they're wearing masquerade masks on the cover. So obviously I'm thinking Masquerade Ball. Obviously I'm thinking Veronica and Stoker in their masquerade masks. I'm already obsessed. Okay, I feel like the next two I'm excited about, but I'm not quite as excited as I was about like the first 4 that we talked about, so I'm gonna calm down. We're gonna chill out, I promise. Although I am really excited for this one too. So next up we have Daggerbound by T. Kingfisher, which comes out in August. It's the 25th of August, I believe. This is the second book in the Swordheart series. I don't know if there's another name for it, but the first book is Swordheart, which I really enjoyed. And this one, we are just continuing to follow some dudes that are trapped in swords. I believe in this one we are following this guy who is a scholar, and he's like transporting this magical artifact, which may or may not be a magical sword with a dude trapped inside of it. And he gets set upon by bandits, and you know, he has to call on the magic of the sword, which he didn't even know existed, and bam, hot dude pops up and protects him. Honestly wish that would happen to me, but I digress. But this sounds so good. I really loved how just like silly and fun Swordheart was, and I feel like this one is also gonna be the same way, so I cannot wait to read Daggerbound. I'm also really interested to see what the cover's gonna look like, because I adore the cover art for Swordheart, so I feel like this one's also gonna be beautiful. And then the last new release on my list is very unlike the rest of these, but I love the first book in this series that I read last year, so I can't wait to read this one too. And that is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. And this is part of the Heartstring series, the first one being First Time Caller, which I read last year. I think it's one of my favorite romance books of last year. It doesn't like, you know, rank in my favorite books, but like romance-wise, absolutely loved it. Probably my top favorite. So I'm really excited about this one because I do believe we've been introduced to at least one of the main characters that we are following in this book. And I think they end up getting maybe snowed in at the radio station. Aside from that, I don't really know what else happens. But I do know it is also When Harry Met Sally inspired, which, you know, again, like top tier rom-com. How could you not be excited about that? So that's the last book on my list of new releases, the last book on my 2026 TBR. I don't really know anything else about it, so I hope that's good enough, but I'm excited about it. I think it comes out the 2nd of February, maybe. So, oh, the 10th of February. So very, very soon. Again, cannot wait. We'll be going to pick it up. Also, the cover is so cute. I love the cover art for this series so much. I am always going back and forth on whether or not I should buy a physical copy of First Time Caller because I read it on ebook. But one of these days it might get me. Anyway, we have made it to the end of my 2026 TBR. These are the 15 books that I would really, really like to read this year. Whether or not that'll happen, I don't know. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best, which is really all you can do sometimes. So obviously I would love to know if any of these books happen to grace your 2026 TBR, or if they don't, please do let me know what books do. Do you have any that you are particularly excited about? Do you have any that you are scared of but want to put on your 2026 TBR anyway? I would love to hear about them and chat about them with you guys. Also, before we go, I would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon if you're ever looking for more content from me. That is always linked down below. As I said, we are reading The Spear Cuts Through Water for our buddy read this month, which is gonna be very fun. But with that, I think that's everything that I have to share with you guys in this video. I really, really hope you enjoyed. I also hope you're having a great Monday, a great start to your 2026, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!